Would you ever share your wife with another man for free? Would you enjoy watching your wife sleep with someone else? Most people would say that this is utterly absurd. Yet, in Singapore, there was indeed a man who had such a fetish, and he even found 6 partners. These 7 men formed a twisted wife-swapping circle, exchanging their wives for exploitation. This became one of Singapore's most shocking crime cases, spanning an entire decade and involving 4 female victims. The truth only came to light when one of the victims stumbled upon a video in her husband's collection. Before diving into the story, there is a quick note. To protect the victims' identities and allow them to move on with their lives, the court referred to all defendants using letters J to P. We'll follow the same naming convention here. On January 1, 2020, Jay was browsing adult websites in bed when he dozed off without closing his phone. His wife, intending to put his phone aside, accidentally saw an open video, one that sent chills down her spine. The setting was their own bedroom, and the woman in the video was her. She appeared to have no consciousness at all. What scared her was, she was criminally assaulted by a stranger. Horrified, she checked her husband's messages and found conversations with a man named K, discussing their so-called wife-swapping game. Enraged, she confronted J, who panicked and deleted the chats. Under pressure, they went to K's home, where K admitted to assaulting her while she was drugged. The next day, Jay's wife reported the crime to the police, still believing she had only been violated by one man. Little did she know, the investigation would uncover a decade-long nightmare. The story began in 2009, when Jay, then 32, met O, who was 31, working as a finance worker on an online forum. Bonding over their shared interest in wife-swapping, they initially hesitated to act, until Jay proposed testing his wife's loyalty. O posed as Brad Change and seduced Jay's wife, who, unaware of her husband's involvement, eventually cut off contact after O suggested a 3-way. But Jay wasn't deterred. On their wedding anniversary in 2010, he spiked his wife's cold medicine with sleeping pills. Once she was unconscious, he invited O over to assault her while he filmed the act. The experience left both men exhilarated, prompting them to form an exclusive wife-swapping club online. A decision that would doom 4 women to years of abuse. Before long, the club gained its first new member, M, a 46-year-old company director who was going through a divorce in 2010. Despite the separation, M continued living with his ex-wife and their 3 children at his mother-in-law's house. When M expressed interest in the game, Jay eagerly agreed. He spiked his wife's drink with sleeping pills, leaving her unconscious and vulnerable to yet another assault. In 2011, another man joined the circle, K, a 46-year-old married man with no children who worked in business development. At first, Jay and K simply exchanged private videos of their wives. But over time, they grew paranoid about getting caught and decided to install hidden cameras in each other's homes, granting each other remote access so they could spy on their wives at any time. By the end of 2011, K obtained sleeping pills from Jay and slipped them into his own wife's drink. Once she was unconscious, he invited Jay over. To ensure she wouldn't wake up during the assault, Jay blindfolded her while K took photos of the violation. In 2012, the two repeated the crime. Shockingly, K even told Jay that his wife belonged to Jay now and suggested it would be perfect if she got pregnant. The two then plotted to recruit more members into their club, hoping to impregnate each other's wives with strangers' babies. By 2013, Jay's wife fell ill again, giving him another opportunity to drug her and invite K over for another assault. Meanwhile, between 2010 and 2011, K had befriended L, a 55-year-old businessman with 3 children who also worked in business development. When L learned about the wife-swapping club, he eagerly joined. In February 2013, while Jay's children and maid were asleep, he invited L over to assault his unconscious wife. The three men formed a sickening bond. From 2010 to 2018, Kay even created a private website where they uploaded explicit photos of their wives. In 2015, L brought in a new accomplice, P, a 49-year-old former supplier at L's company. On August 31, 2017, L drugged his wife, blindfolded her, and sent their children and maid to another room before inviting P over. But things didn't go as planned. P, who suffered from erectile dysfunction, fumbled awkwardly and failed to complete the assault. His clumsy movements woke L's wife, who erupted in fury upon realizing what was happening. She forced both men to write confessions. Then P fled in shame. Around the same time, the youngest member, N, a 39-year-old unmarried delivery driver, joined the group through J. Though N had no wife to swap, J generously shared his own. Between 2017 and 2018, N assaulted J's wife twice. J wasn't done yet. In August 2018, M visited J with his ex-wife under the guise of a business meeting. Once inside J's home, J served her a spiked drink. When she passed out, he assaulted her. The nightmare finally ended in 2020 when Jay's wife discovered the videos and went to the police, exposing the 7 men's decade-long reign of abuse. To summarize the assaults: 2010, M and O assaulted Jay's wife. 2011 to 2012, Jay assaulted K's wife twice. 2013, K and L assaulted Jay's wife. 2017, P attempted and failed to assault L's wife. 2018, J assaulted M's ex-wife. 2017 to 2018, N assaulted J's wife twice. The case, once exposed, horrified the nation, but justice would soon be served. According to reports, the 4 female victims in this case were all between the ages of 42 and 50, while the 7 suspects ranged from 42 to 54 years old. In November 2022, the large-scale wife-swapping assault case officially went to trial. The mastermind, J, was 43 years old at the time. He had married his wife in 2008 and had 4 daughters with her. No one could have imagined that beneath his face lay such depraved fantasies. Jay frequently lurked on wife-swapping forums, obsessively reading about others' exploits, until he met O, who helped bring his twisted desires to life. During the trial, the prosecution accused Jay of drugging, swapping, and assaulting his wife for 8 years, with most incidents occurring in their own home. The victims were completely unconscious, utterly defenseless, and even filmed in compromising positions. The nature of these crimes was deemed exceptionally vile, warranting severe punishment. In his plea for leniency, Jay claimed he had been suffering from mental health issues at the time, insisting his wife had forgiven him and that he had confessed to take responsibility. Jay also insisted that O had manipulated him into testing his wife's loyalty. He alleged that after discovering his wife had cheated on him twice, in 2010 and 2014, he became enraged and orchestrated the crimes. He then requested further psychological evaluation and treatment, hoping to eventually return to his family. The prosecution swiftly dismantled Jay's excuses. Psychological evaluations confirmed Jay was fully aware of his actions during the crimes, and his attempts to shift blame onto the victims were nothing but a blatant effort to evade responsibility. The prosecution then presented the psychological assessment of Jay's wife. Initially, she had been calm, believing she had only been assaulted by K. But as more perpetrators were arrested, she realized the horrifying extent of her abuse. Her emotions spiraled from despair to complete numbness, leaving her devoid of any feeling, even frequently contemplating suicide. Given her state, the prosecution argued that any claim of her forgiving Jay was nonsense. Jay also tried to justify his actions by claiming he suffered from sex addiction, but the court dismissed this as irrelevant to his crimes. After reviewing the full scope of the case, the presiding judge noted that while the other defendants had each committed no more than 5 offenses, Jay alone was responsible for 17 counts of assault, making his crimes particularly heinous. He was sentenced to 29 years in prison and 24 strokes of the cane. K, upon arrest, was diagnosed with voyeuristic disorder. However, medical experts confirmed he was fully aware of his actions during the crimes. He received 22 years in prison and 20 cane strokes. A chilling detail emerged. Back in April 2015, J and K had exchanged messages, mocking their victims, boasting, "No matter how smart they are in the end, their men still got them." P, who suffered from erectile dysfunction and failed to complete his assault, claimed in court that he had only spent 5 to 8 minutes at L's house and had acted with L's assurance that everything was fine. He was sentenced to 12 weeks in jail and a 20,000 Singapore dollar fine for attempted assault. The remaining defendants also faced justice. L, 13 years and 6 months in prison. M, 20 years in prison plus 20 cane strokes. N, 18 years in prison plus 20 cane strokes. O was the only one who refused to plead guilty. He insisted J had recruited him solely to test his wife's fidelity, while J countered that O had been the one with the wife-swapping fetish, and that he had drugged his wife specifically for O's gratification. O then claimed that J had summoned him to confront his wife about her alleged affair, even accusing J of being jealous that his wife enjoyed sleeping with O. He alleged that when J asked if he wanted to touch his wife, he didn't know how to answer, just pretended to masturbate, and fled. The judge found O's account full of holes. If J had truly wanted to confront O about the affair, why drug his wife beforehand and even warn O about it? Furthermore, evidence showed that long after O assaulted J's wife, the two men continued discussing their wife-swapping fantasies and even founded the club together. The court ruled O guilty of conspiracy to commit assault, sentencing him to 13 years in prison and 12 cane strokes. Reports later surfaced that O was released on 1.2 million Singapore dollar bail and remained married to his wife. After the verdict, J appealed, submitting letters from his mother and sister. His mother pleaded for mercy, citing her son's filial piety and devotion to his 4 daughters, while lamenting that her family's financial struggles prevented them from hiring a proper defense lawyer. The judge rejected the appeal, stating that the severity of J's crimes could not be overlooked. Singapore's caning is one of the few remaining judicial corporal punishments globally. Each stroke is delivered with enough force to split skin, and a doctor examines the convict after every lash to determine if they can endure the next. Most prisoners prefer extended jail time over even 3 strokes, let alone 20. Yet no one pitied these men. The verdict was met with public approval, offering some measure of closure to the 4 victims. We can only hope they find the strength to heal and rebuild their lives.
That's all for now. If you enjoyed this case, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow Case Diaries. There are plenty more cases coming your way. Got thoughts on today's story? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. See you in the next one.